panel of gentlemen here to give you some good information on answers that repairers needs and locating OEM data in the information providers and various third-party software or programs. So we're excited to give you guys some information because we know this is an important thing when it comes to repair standards and how we should be repairing cars, because I think as an industry we know at times we're probably doing certain things that we shouldn't be doing because it's not always easy to access that data. So these gentlemen are all here to help us perform our job better and probably charge more accordingly for the proper things that we should be doing versus not doing those items. So, and I know I lost some of my notes, so I think we're just going to go ahead and get started with some introductions, and we're just going to start right off the top and go down the list. First we have Doug Gann with Airbag Solutions. And Doug, I don't know if you want to give just a tiny bit of background, and then I know you have a presentation.
Airbag Solutions is an airbag information database. Strictly, we provide all the information you will need to, once you start the job, to finishing the job, from how the procedure is supposed to begin, from tearing it down and disabling the system, to reenacting or re-enabling the system and turning off that airbag light, in addition to all the components that the airbag systems require by the OEMs. And they're very specific, but that's what Airbag Solutions is. Thanks, Doug.
Next we have Dan Esperson with Alldata.
Hi, Dan Esperson from Alldata. We're an OEM information provider to the automotive and collision sides of the business. We basically offer all the OEM repair procedures in a unified format for easy accessibility for the shops, and pretty much any support level you need from a library service on down we have available. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in my presentation.
Excellent. Thanks, Dan. Next we have Greg Horn with Mitchell International.
Yep. I am, as you said, Dan, Greg Horn from Mitchell International. I'm the Industry Relations Vice President. Mitchell International, as you may know, is one of the big three estimating providers, and we also do, in addition to the core estimating product, a repair standards product that we're going to discuss in a little bit more detail.
Excellent. Next we have Rick Turi with Autotex, a Solera company. Want to make sure to get that in there for you, Rick.
Thank you for that, Dan. You've got a dollar coming later. As he said, my name is Rick Turi. I'm VP of Industry Relations for Autotex, a Solera company. On the books, I've been there for 33 years, hired in 1979. We were at the first NACE 30 years ago. We introduced our automated estimating system at that point in time, and we introduced a new version of that this year. I'll leave the presentation and for the presentation, but again, I'm happy to be here, and thank you all for coming.
Excellent. Thanks, Rick. Next, we have Michael Caston with CCC Information Services.
Hi, thank you. Michael Caston. I'm in our Product and Technologies Department, and with CCC Information Services, we just provide the collision estimating system for the industry.
Excellent. Again, thanks guys for being here. We're excited to hopefully give these folks some information. Again, for what I like to say is hopefully put a few more dollars in our pockets, because that's the bottom line, is if we're doing things right and charging correctly, we should be doing what we're doing there. So my name is Dan Stander. I'm with Fix Auto Highlands Ranch. I'm also the ASA Collision Division Director. I'm a second generation shop owner, manager. I've been in the industry since I was a wee little kid. I used to have hair. I see some of you are probably following my footsteps on what this industry does to us. This guy's got a good haircut over here, so thanks for everyone for being here. So I think we're definitely just going to go ahead and jump into the presentations, because what I really want to do is try to get these guys through their presentation and then have some Q&A at the end for you folks on maybe some specific questions you have, maybe about specific systems or general industry topics. So we're going to go ahead and start right off with Airbag Solutions. So I'm not sure if you want to come up here or you want to do it from down there. Okay. Sorry guys, we have a little bit of a tight table up here, so sorry for Alldata who doesn't really get to sit at the table. So I know it could always be worse.
I like to jump around it.
There you go. So we'll let you jump in here.
Thank you, Dan. Hello again. My name is Doug Gann. I'm the President and COO of Airbag Solutions. I first want to thank Denise Casperson, ASA, and SRW for putting this panel together. I also want to thank Dan for moderating. And I want to thank each of my colleagues for participating. I think it's an important panel for you guys to be present in. We were each asked to come here and help the industry understand how to incorporate OEM procedures in their estimates and come up with some examples of where the problems may be. You know, the past year there's been a surge to follow OEM procedures in all body repair. But where I come from in airbag systems and restraint systems, there's never been any other way of servicing them. As soon as they came out in the late 80s, we began getting calls as an installation company from shops wanting to know, hey, do I need a clock spring with this repair? Where are the sensors on this car? And do I need to replace the module, or how do I put the light out? Well, these questions haven't changed in 20 years, and the information has gotten more and more difficult to find, and it's been much more, lost my place. The questions haven't changed, and veteran technicians, as well as novice appraisers, can't follow all the changes in the requirements. So it takes a lot of time and effort to come up with these answers. Airbag Solutions sees two problems. One is the voluminous amount of information that's out there, and the time it takes is the second problem to sort through it all. The purpose of Airbag Solutions is to help resolve both those problems in the supplemental restraint systems. With quick access to the correct information, you can both reduce your supplements and reduce your cycle times. Airbag Solutions does that for you. We provide quick access to the correct information because that's all we do, is research these vehicles. And we have the actual photos of over 5,000 vehicles showing you exactly what the OEM requires for them. Here's an example of what you're faced with when you need to find out what's required. First of all, you've got to purchase the information. We're using a Ford Explorer as an example, Ford Econoline, I'm sorry, as an example. So first you have to go to the Ford website and purchase the information from Ford. Then you've got to know where to look. And on this particular vehicle, you're going to go into the general procedures. On the left is the body. Then they're going to take you to supplemental restraint systems. Highlighted in yellow, you'll see inspection and repair after supplemental restraint. And then if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, in that section you're going to see part marked all vehicles. And in section 5 of all vehicles, it says, for the seatbelt system alone, when a pretensioner deploys, you need to replace the buckle, the retractor, and the height adjusters. Now, I know all of you have written seatbelt pretensioners on your estimates before, but of all the Ford vehicles you've written for pretensioners, how many times have you written a height adjuster? I'll bet not very often. I mean, we see thousands of estimates, and we know they're not being written, but that's what Ford requires, and that's for all vehicles. So one of the problems is being able to get to the information. Second problem is the time it takes to assimilate all of this into your estimate. The information is buried in so many different places from all the different manufacturers. It'll be in places like general procedures, safety precautions, restraint information, repair manuals, service procedures, collision repair booklets, and TSBs. And it's buried in places like parenthetical phrases or footnotes or just notes on the side of a page. Well, that's what Airbag Solutions does, is we scour this information, we determine all of these unique little particulars from all the vehicles, and we format a slide that shows you exactly what you need for every vehicle, for every system, whether it's a seatbelt deployment only, or if it's a front deployment, side, even now rear hits with your headrests, curtain airbags, they all have unique requirements. And we show it to you so that in 30 seconds you will know after a frontal deployment exactly what you need from the OEM, because that's all we do. We take the time that you don't have. You're in the middle of writing an estimate and up pulls an appraiser who wants to go over an old one. You got a customer waiting in the waiting room because he's got to pick up his car and wants to talk to you. You got a technician that just came in who has a problem, and you've got your wife on the phone. You don't have time to open up a Ford information manual and start looking for these answers. but we do. That's the time that we take, and that's what we compile. And we complete these photos onto a single page. Each of the manufacturers writes their manuals differently, and we know where to look and how long it takes to get there. And we present it to you in pictures. So there's no more wondering, does this car have one seatbelt pretensioner or two? We show you. You don't need to figure out if the console has to be removed to replace the control unit. We'll show you. We help you eliminate the two problems in obtaining OEM repair information for restraint systems. We pour through the volumes of information and condense it into a 30-second time window for you to understand exactly what you need to write a better estimate and follow OEM procedures. When it comes to writing estimates, an accurate one, a picture this time is worth 1,000 words. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Not to give you a shameless plug here, but I know we do use your system, and especially for when we're looking at damage analysis on cars and trying to make sure we pick the right parts for the airbag systems. For us, this is a good, trusted product, and I think the bigger than that is my techs love it, because I don't know if you guys have all had the same problem where your tech goes, hey, where's that control module? I've taken apart the trim panels, the B-pillar panels, I've looked underneath the seat, I've looked underneath the console, and I can't find it. And you go, oh, great, that was a lot of wasted labor we just did there. So it's nice to be able to have some of these pictures that locate those parts exactly where they are in the car for our technicians. So Doug, thanks for that information, great. And next we have Alldata. So he's gonna use the mic over there, and he's gonna be up front here. So there's
all right,
that. So
thank you. Thanks, Dan.
Click on that and make sure that goes back and forth for you. There we go.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dan Esperson from Alldata. I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager for the Collision Division. A little bit about Alldata and who we are, what we've done. We were founded in 1986, and our venture was basically into the service end of the business. We focused on all the repair side of it, and we right now have over 300,000 users in the repair and collision industries with over 80,000 shops. And we are global. We just have announced our participation in Europe several months ago. So we're expanding our territory and horizons and trying to get this information in everybody's hands throughout globally. Basically, we're a leading provider of service, OEM, and repair procedures. This is all we pretty much do. We're first to market with electronic repair information, again, over 26 years ago. We were first to provide the collision industry with OEM information. That was about 6 years ago, and public about 4. First to offer line-by-line repair information for estimates. In other words, we do have mechanisms that'll pull estimates in and give you repair information line by line pertaining to your estimate. A little bit about what I'm going to talk about today is some high-level things that I see as important for myself being in the shops for 37 years and understanding what estimators really go through on a daily basis. If I were to wind back the clock 5 years ago and try and understand and look for information to do a repair on a vehicle properly, I would probably be going out to Google if it was available. I'd be going to the OEM websites. I'd be looking all over the place trying to find it. And usually what I found is when I went back to the shops when we first came out with our product is when I went back to them and I talked to them and I asked them, I said, what kind of problems are you having trying to get this information? And they said, I'll take anything that you have in any kind of format you can give me so I can properly repair this vehicle. That was 5 years ago. Now when I talk to customers and I talk to shops and I talk to service estimators, they basically tell me this: I don't have time to look it up. I don't have, there's too much information, I'm on information overload. So what we have to understand is that at some point in time with our estimators, with our technicians, is really decide as a business what's important and what we really need to be understanding to look up, and then move them to that level and then move them to a different level. The problem that we're having and we're seeing out there and what I've discovered from the show is that, again, it's too confusing and it's too overwhelming if I try and look up every procedure on a car. And there's thousands and thousands and thousands of procedures that are changing daily. The last count I had from the OEs was 20 million pages of data that are available to fix a car. And I talked to Randy Boyd from General Motors, and he said, in 6 months, that'll be 30 million. So we have to decide as a group, as an industry, what's really important. I look at technical service bulletins as an issue, or because parts will change on vehicles. There could be a superseded piece of information for the repair of the vehicle that you need to be aware of. There's customer recalls on these cars, and there's these technical service bulletins are published daily. So they can be a really valuable tool to help you understand if there's issues with a car that may or may not be related to an accident when it comes in or if it comes back. In case in point, there's a 2009 Hyundai Elantra here that the hood alarm will go off. And they basically published a TSB on this car that says, we've got a little new spacer that's going to tighten the hood down. So that's the kind of information that may be valuable to your shop if you have a customer coming back, as an example, where the hood alarm's going off and you may have nothing to do with it. There's a bulletin on it. Here's another one. The lock doesn't work, or the door doesn't open from the inside. And basically this TSB is telling us on this Audi that if you put back in this regulator on this door and it's wrong, and if the cable's bound up in a certain area and it's not routed properly, it'll initiate the lock mechanism on the door and keep the door in a half-locked position where the door won't open from the inside. Pretty valuable stuff if you got a customer coming back saying, hey, you just worked on my door and I can't get out of it, right? Radar sensing technologies, stuff that's coming out that you guys are probably may or may not be dealing with right now. This is going to be critical stuff coming in the coming days, especially right now with the Euros on the market, like Mercedes-Benz, Audi, and Jag that already have this stuff. Case in point, 2007 Mercedes-Benz S550 basically says that the paint on the bumper has to be at a certain mil thickness or these sensors won't work. So this is the kind of stuff that your painters may need to know, that possibly an estimator may or may not have to know this, but your people in the shop need to know it. So it's not just from an estimating standpoint, it's throughout the process, throughout the facility, that everybody needs to be in tune with this stuff and understand what's available. Hybrid information, we all know what these things are. 5 years ago, we were all scared of them. Sometimes we still are. But there's disabling and enabling procedures on these vehicles that are very simple if we have the data available and just take a look. We don't have to lose that revenue opportunity. We don't have to send it out. We can do it in our shops. But there is precautions on some of this stuff. It's not just a matter of pulling a plug. If you don't let the system deactivate for at least 10 minutes on this vehicle, it is still live, even with the plug out. So that's the kind of safety information that you're going to have your techs understand, or possibly anybody in the shop that may be going back and touching that car. It's safety. Here's another example, same with the Tahoe, it's the same thing. 10-minute deactivation cycle, let that car rest. Make sure you put a sign on it or a cone on the roof or whatever you do. Keep people away from that battery on that vehicle when it's disabled for at least 10 minutes.
Some great dilemmas. I guess that makes us happy, Dan, that we don't have Alldata in manuals. Because I don't know how many 20 to 30 million new pages we could have in our offices, nor would we want to go through them. So great information there, Dan. Next we have Mitchell with Greg Horn.
Doing a quick two-step there.
Exactly. Sorry,
that'll work.
Change there.
No worries. I think that everyone's well aware that we have our three information providers, Mitchell, CCC, and Autotex, up on the stage, and I wanted to give everybody a little bit of a history on truly Mitchell as a company. It was founded in 1946 by Glenn Mitchell. I don't know when Mr. CCC or Mr. Autotex, the Solera company, started. The respective companies.
You'll find out.
But globally, we cover over 66 different manufacturers with over 115 different model configurations. We have Ultramate as our core product, but we also have Ultramate motorcycle as well as heavy truck and recreational vehicle estimating. And what makes us one of the leading information providers is we have 62 staff in-house full-time editorials. They're doing the editorial content. So they average 23 years of collision experience. And you can, if you have a question with a particular database, you can call the number down there, that 1-800-448-4401, and speak with the person that did the labor times, that actually did the labor study. If you'd like to see a digital copy of how the labor study was put together, we can send that to you. To give you a little bit of idea, and you illustrated it quite nicely with their 20 million pages, we look at just in the collision estimating guide, there's 800% more information in the claims estimating guides than there were in 1991. That is dramatically more information than what we had in the past. So as you may know, this is our core estimating product, is called Ultramate, and a couple of things I wanted to do. One of the things that we get a lot of feedback on the floor was, why don't you guys put in clips? Well, we do put in clips. Why don't you guys put in how many clips are required? We do. We'll show you the clip, how it is. If it's a one-way clip, we'll identify it as a one-time use only clip. And we'll show you how many are needed for the particular trim molding piece, what have you. Now, this is the step. When I came to Mitchell 6 years ago, I said, you know, the amazing thing is we are getting so many more complex operations in vehicles that we have the estimating, and we have actually how to do that, and there's a gap, and that is the repair how-to. So we worked on the Tech Advisor product, and these are the different modules that are available in Tech Advisor. What makes Tech Advisor really good in the estimating platform, it is a bolt-on component to Ultramate and to Repair Center. You're inside the estimate. Say you're on a B-pillar, and you want to know what the procedure is for this B-pillar to be replaced. Without having to leave the application, without having to double key in VIN number or anything, you can open up Tech Advisor inside the Ultramate estimating platform. It will take you right to the appropriate B-pillar, and in the case of a VW Passat, it'll say it's a boron-infused alloy, and you need to use adhesive bonding. Even though it's laser welded from the factory, the correct repair procedure, according to Volkswagen, is to adhesive bond. There was mention before about TSBs and OEM bulletins. Those will be in Tech Advisor. So if you're doing the Elantra example and you're working on the hood, it would show you where those TSBs and recall bulletins are for the hood. We've got standard mechanical information. You know, we have our sister company, Mitchell One, which works in the hard parts and repair division, but we do brake suspension components. We do restraint systems, electronic wiring diagrams that are color-coded, so it's very easy to trace the wire. Looking at the special materials quick reference guide, these are inside Tech Advisor as well as Ultramate, but it will color code for the metallurgy. And I always put up the picture of the Porsche Panamera, because one of my good contacts at Porsche Cars North America says, you know, a lot of manufacturers have recommendations. We have procedures because there's only one way to do it right. And that's important to remember when we look at repair. If the OEM's going to show you the way to do it, you should follow that procedure. The other thing is, a few years ago, well, it's been about 15 years ago, we purchased the KLM frame measuring guide, and this is now integrated into Tech Advisor. So it's an interactive frame dimensioning guide. It will show you can type in your initial measurements. It'll also, if you're not good at looking at where the diagram is, we can show you the actual attachment point in a photo, so there is no error in where to hang the measuring points. As was mentioned before, we looked at really getting into the hybrid and electronic vehicle safety guide. We provide these to first responders, but this shows you a step-by-step with diagrams how to disable, what the requirements are, and what the safety precautions are for reassembly. And with that, I will introduce my fair competitor, Mr. Turi. Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Horn. There's your pen back, I promised that. Certainly. Hi there. My name is Rick Turi. I'm VP of Industry Relations with Autotex, a Solera company. Does everybody here know what Autotex does? Okay. Greg doesn't know exactly how long we've been in business, so I'd like to help there. Actually, I'll give you vagaries. How's that? Autotex was invented in Germany in the 1960s. And it was designed, I'm sorry to Greg, to you and our friends at Motor, it was designed to replace the manuals. That's what it was all about. And literally, it was an automated estimating system, and still is, that resided on a mainframe. Anybody use the old Autotex system? Anybody? Back in the day, the Germans figured out how to make an automated estimating system without query capability. Right, without a laptop in front of you. So everything had to be coded down to the make, model, style, year, engine, and option of the vehicle. Because you didn't have a manual to look in, so there was no such thing then. We needed to get rid of manual intervention. Yeah, I just thought of that. Ooh, yeah. So that's really what the system was designed to do, is automatically give you the correct part number, the correct price, the correct labor time for your vehicle without saying, do you have a spoiler on that? Is that a GT or the Standard or the Cobra? We do the same thing today, and we just introduced our new system, AutoNet. That's what we say because now we've gone completely global. Actually, you'll probably call it AutoNet. And I noticed that Mr. Horn actually correctly pronounced the name of the Panamera because we like to call it the Panamera. But when you find out the precision with which our friends in Germany deal with things, you start to talk like they do. So we do business in over 50 countries. Germany's one of them. Actually, we could say, in a way, 100 countries because we look at the U.S. as 50 countries under one flag, right? Because there are a lot of differences, within states, and the system is designed, and we keep up on all the differences between all the states and all the different countries. I can't tell you how many development people we have on staff because we have 6 data development centers around the world, and we do business with 3 of the most renowned and well-known technical research facilities around the world as well. So I don't know how many people we have on staff, but I can tell you we have global experience that spans the past 30+ years. A little bit about me, and I'll skip over this. I think the most important thing here is, number one, I used to run the database development group, so I'm familiar with the parts, labor, the graphics, the illustrations, and actually when I was in charge of the database, we developed the computerized graphics that we now use for the 3D system that we're showing on the floor. And the most important thing here is I was drawn to the collision industry almost magnetically because I've been wrecking cars since I was 15, and that's obviously a long time ago. So my destiny, in a way, is collision repair. Just a little bit now about repair procedures in the database, and you'll notice I actually put a question mark there. Because one of the things that Autotex is founded on is our labor times include the repair procedures automatically for every part on the car. And we think it's important to have the repair procedures available to you. We also think it's important to reflect accurately within the database for every part what's included from a manufacturer's perspective. So all of our labor times are based on what the manufacturer recommends, right down to the make, model, style, year, engine, and option of the vehicle. We've got a new thing called AutoVIN because options are important to us, and they're probably pretty important to you. You enter the VIN to the vehicle. We've got most of the German manufacturers. We'll have General Motors in January, and you will get a complete decode of the car with all the packages and all the options on that vehicle. And as you know, everybody can decode VIN. My VIN 1FALP45T 9RF182090. That'll decode to a 1994 Mustang GT two-door convertible with a 5-liter engine, an automatic transmission, and no matter who you are. But with AutoVIN, with the manufacturers that we have, as I like to say, there are many VINs. This is my VIN. There are many VINs like it, but this one is mine. With AutoVIN, we'll get you right down to the color and the paint and every option and package on the vehicle. And that's important to our system. And that pulls right through to total losses as well. This is what the system looks like. We have developed a product called Tech Focus. It is not as robust as it needs to be. We've been focusing on our next generation platform, which is even enhanced 3D graphics, and we have a lot of plans for this. Many of them include reflection of OEM repair procedures graphically within the database, and this is what it looks like if you select a vehicle where we have put the procedures in for tech focus. And as I was saying, for every part, we include all the operations that the OEM recommends, because our labor folks pour through the manuals, figure out every recommended procedure, put our times on that, and if you don't know what's included in the part, all you have to do is right-click. You can get included operations right on the screen, so that you know exactly what labor is being accounted for every part in the database, right down to from the external to the internal, and automated overlap, as you all know, to make sure that you don't get duplicate labor, and make sure that you do get all the labor that you need based on the manufacturer's procedures. So that's the Audatech story, and I'm sticking to it. And I'd like to introduce Mr. Michael Caston from CCC Information Services.
You guys are doing a great job on introductions for me. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. I was following Greg's lead.
Thanks a lot. It's great I get to go last, and I guess I am the youngest as far as providers go. We were founded in 1980, so, and I think I'm the youngest anyway. However, CCC was founded, 1980. We have 22,000 repair facilities. We think we deliver the most comprehensive and best-in-class data system you can for writing estimates. So with that, I'll go right into what we serve as an innovative leader. We bring together what matters most through this insight, convergence, and collaboration. And CCC One is a new platform. I'm really glad to say that with CCC One, we've seen a really good push in the industry as far as collaborating with a lot of different providers. Saw this guy on Bourbon Street, so I thought I'd snap a picture of him. There's been a lot of sidebars at NACE, and this is, kind of the frustration that you might see, right? Repair procedures and lookups are often time-consuming and bothersome. So multiple applications, multiple windows, lots of links and to go through. And if you've tried to pull up procedures from, say, General Motors or from Chrysler, it's really tough fighting through that web traffic. So what we wanted to do is go ahead and incorporate it. That's why you need it. I mean, it's built into the system. There's no links, no separate application, no keying of the data. Simple to use. Our marketing department would like to say that your brother-in-law could even use it. So whether the procedure flags while you're writing the actual estimate, it'll flag for you. And I'll show you some examples of that. Because really what we do, we believe that the integration drives the usage, right? So at the right line, at the right time. And that's what we're going to do. When you're writing that line in the estimate, there's going to be a flag and a chevron that comes up to show you whether there's a procedure available for that. And if it's an information, body, welding, or sectioning procedure. Not every time the exact same chevron will appear, only if there's a procedure for that particular line that you're on. So in this particular example, it's just a simple format. It's really easy to use. And you can see that we've got some added grayscale graphics that are right from the manufacturer. So we get all of our data from Motor, and that particular data provider gets all the information directly from the OEs. So that's why we incorporate it. So again, right at the estimate line, you see the chevron, you know there's a procedure available for it, you click on it, you go right in, and it'll tell you, it'll give you the procedure, and then you can click on any one of the figures if you actually want to see a diagram of it. So again, there's a lot of comprehensive data all in there. These are the different categories: the info, the sectioning, the welding, body, frame, and dimensions. We use Chief for our data provider for all of the body dimensions and the frame. We've got a tram gauge on there. I'd encourage everybody to go down to the booth and just run through it at the booth, because it's really fun to use. The diagnostic troubleshooting, TSB codes. So we have all those codes that are all there, easy for you to see. So we got it. Thank you.